Alright guys, so let's keep going. This class, we're gonna create our first blueprint, okay? Um, we already put our first person in the scene, okay? We're gonna put an ambient sound, okay? Um, Now, we're gonna start doing the blueprints of interactions. So first, a blueprint of door. It's gonna open for rotation, you know? Uh, so we're gonna make a blueprint for this entrance door. It's gonna open automatically. Okay. All right. So let's go. So first thing that we're going to do um, is to show the ways to create a blueprint here in our scene. Okay. So I'm gonna show it how we can create a blueprint from scratch from the beginning. So okay, I'm gonna create here. We have our folder here. I'm gonna create a blueprint of the type actor that we already saw in the first class, and I'm gonna call it BP um, simple door. Okay, nice. By convention uh, of nomenclatures inside Unreal, uh, we put BP in the blueprint. Okay, underline and a name. All right, so that you can call it, you can name it. All right, so double click on it. Nice. Okay, so let's get started. We talked about the interface a little bit, but we didn't really get the details. Now we're gonna see how to use this interface to create things. Okay. Uh, all right. So first thing that we have to have in Blueprint, we have to bring the mesh of the door inside the blueprint. Okay, it's gonna be a component of the blueprint. To do it, we need to add a component, as we said in the first class, scene static mesh. Okay, so you can add here. um, I'm gonna put it door. Perfect. So it's here. It was added. There is no mesh here. If you see the details, um, okay. So it is just a reference here of an object. So let's take our door, this door here that is selected, and now I'm gonna bring it here, right? Nice. It is already here uh, inside our blueprint. It comes with the configuration of pivot. All right, the pivot is here, in the center. Okay, nice. So here we have our mesh of the door inside the blueprint as a component. Nice. So let's analyze this. What is the idea here? Well, when the character gets closer to this door, it's gonna rotate. So it's gonna rotate here 90 degrees or 80, okay, to open the door, right? Nice. So we need to show Unreal which area, um, here, the space that the character needs to lean to activate this. Remember we talked about the triggers, you know. So we have to show Unreal, which is this area, okay, where the character needs to lean to activate our event, you know, so that um, the door is gonna open. All right, so there's a feature, box collision. Look, this here. It's a box of collision, okay? So it's gonna generate a collision. Nice. Here inside our Unreal of our components, here is our blueprint, all right? And here we have some things here, all right, the object's default scene root is basically an object of reference that can be used as a reference for us, okay? It is optional, okay? It doesn't really need to exist. I'm gonna show it to you here. Let's see our blueprint here. You see, when I put it here, it comes with the this icon here, you know, like a reference. If you press G, it appears. So look, the center, the 0.000. After that, we see the mesh of the door, and the box comes after here. Look, yeah, basically that's the hierarchy of 3D. If I move the door, the box moves together. But it's not what I want, okay? Because it's gonna rotate together. So I need to take it off so I can click on it and put attach, all right? So it's free for the door. It's not like as it was before. So pay attention on these hierarchies, okay? Because sometimes you get some conflicts here when you're creating blueprints. Let's adjust this collision block here. So it's gonna represent the area where when the character leans on this area, it's gonna activate the action. Okay, look at this. So here, when the character walks here, it's gonna pull the trigger there. Okay, let's see it here. The height doesn't really matter, okay? Because if the character leans here, it's gonna pull the trigger. So we have the trigger here. I'm gonna show the area that the character is gonna lean and the mesh that it is gonna generate. In this case, it is with the materials when it has imported the FBX. Okay, look, let me take this again. We already saw in the other classes. If you double click on it, the material was applied after that it was put in the scene. So when you add inside the blueprint, it comes with the original material. So here you can change or you can save it and you can change that. I'm not gonna change for now, okay? Because we're gonna show this again to recreate this. Nice. So this part of components is already solved, okay? Now we need to create the programming, okay? The coding. To do that, we're gonna go to event graph. Nice. So here we have the knots that we already know. I'm gonna need them because our trigger is not gonna go when we click on play. Okay, this one as well, this one as well. Okay, which is the trigger? Well, when the character leans, when he touches, okay, when he does the overlap. Okay, let's analyze this. You can see here that you have pre-programmed events. That's why we chose it, you know. Here we have some events, okay. For example, this one, look, the overlap and other ones here, okay. That we can, you know, we can try. It's for games as we talked about. So what is interesting for us is this overlap. Uh, it's like when something touches the box, you know. I'm gonna add here. You see, when you click on it, it creates a knot for you, and it already put here that it was used because we can only have one event per box. Okay, we cannot generate two events for the same thing. Okay, all right, that's interesting because, for example, click here, you go directly here. If you have a blueprint really big, it goes directly to the point. Okay, that's why you have this button. Nice. So here's the knot of the event. It's like a trigger so that we can generate our coding, our programming. Okay, so first step is solved. We already have the trigger here. Okay, nice. So now we need to tell Unreal which object that, I mean, what object is gonna touch and is gonna generate the event. It is a specific object or any object. Well, in our case, we can use a specific object that is the first person. I suppose you have two doors that are attached. One door opens and touches the box collision, and it's gonna activate as well. So it's better if we specify the object that is gonna overlap the box. If you sit here, we have a lot of things. Other actor, that's what we're gonna use. All right. I can click and drag like this, and I'm gonna connect to the first person. There is a specific knot that is this cast 2. It's gonna connect to the object, to the actor. Okay. With the context sensitive, it's gonna show a lot of actors here. Okay, so the name of the first person is that one. Okay, let's see. In the folder we added here pp first person character. This one that I want when it overlaps the box. So I'm gonna get back here, first person character. Okay, perfect, nice. So here, this one, this knot is gonna activate the trigger. Okay, the object, the actor, is gonna overlap the box, and here it's saying which actor is gonna overlap the box. Nice. Let's compile this and save it, and that's it. Let's go. Okay, now we have the trigger and the actor that is gonna activate the trigger. Now we need to tell what's gonna happen. Okay, Unreal already knows when the event is gonna happen, and the object it already knows. So now it's have to tell Unreal that it's gonna rotate the door 90 degrees. Okay, so based on that, let's tell which object I wanna rotate. So I need to take a variable that represents this object. Okay, if I click and drag here, any component here, it's gonna create a variable. Okay, that is a variable of the type static mesh, right? If you see it here, down here, when I add things, it creates variables here, as you can see. It has already separated by variables related to the components of blueprint. Okay, perfect, nice. Now we already have the variable here. I want this door to do something. I want this to rotate. So I'm gonna click and drag here, and I'm gonna choose this knot here. Okay, set relative rotation. It's gonna add a rotation, a relative rotation. It's going to be relative to the blueprint, because there are two types of set rotation. The rotation, that the rotation is related to the world, okay, with the scale of the world. And there is the relative with the blueprint, because if you see this here, the location of this door is 0, 0, 0, the axis 0. But if you come here in the scene, it's not in the 0 of the word. You see these numbers here, right? So that's why, for example, here, the relative is relative to the coordinate inside the blueprint, and the world is relative to the world, okay? All right, let's keep going. So what do I want to do? I want to add a rotation to it. Okay, I want this to rotate 90 degrees in the z axis. Okay, here we have x Y, and Z. Okay, the blue one, all right? That is the Z axis. So we're gonna rotate this, okay? And if you take a look, uh, there's a nomenclature that if I rotate this Z axis, you can see this yaw in the center and the angle, okay? So we are rotating the axis yaw, all right? If we rotate the x, we have the row, and in the y-axis we have the pitch. It's just a nomenclature, okay? Instead of saying that it's gonna rotate in the z-axis, that's gonna say the other nomenclature, okay? All right, so here we have the x-axis, the y, and the z, okay? All right, 90 degrees in the z, correct? Nice. So it's gonna activate the trigger. It's gonna pull the trigger when the character overlaps the box, and it's gonna get 90 degrees uh, the rotation of this door. Okay, easy, right? So let's test to see if that's gonna work. Let's play it. Our bird is singing here. Did you see? I'm gonna increase a little bit our box so that we can see it better. To do it, I can increase here, or I can increase here in the windows, the editor, because sometimes it's easier to see in the scene. How can I do it? I select the blueprint and I go here and I have these components, okay? So it's exactly what is here. Okay, so if I select the blocks, I can also add it here the same way, okay? Um, I'm gonna leave this big like this. Nice. What's the difference between here and there? Well, when I do it here, I'm changing the original blueprint, okay? That is in our content browser. So if I change it here and I save it, it's gonna save here in our original file. If I change here, uh, it's gonna change only this blueprint. Let's suppose I just added, for example, another blueprint. Uh, you see, it comes with the size that is in the original one, and that one is different because it was changed for the navigation. Okay. If I want to change this one, I can do it for here. If I want to change all at the same time that in the scene, I can do it here. Okay. Actually, I have to go here and change it here. So it's gonna change for everything, everyone. Unless you had already changed this, okay? So it's not gonna change. Let's do a test here to show you. Copy one more. And I'm gonna change it here a little more. All right, compile, save. Look at this. It has changed both, but it didn't change that one because it understands that that one is not gonna go with the original things, you know. Right? Okay. So let's get back here. Um, let's see. Let's get back to our test. All right, let's press play again. And let's get closer. You see this? It has opened. And all right. I just said to open when I get closer. When I move away, it doesn't close. Okay. Uh, well, it has changed the angle from the angle 0 to the angle 90. Okay, because you said to Unreal to change it, you know, and it has changed. Okay. All right. Nice. Now I'm gonna turn it off. The volume I'm gonna put in 0. Okay, so it's not gonna bother our video every time, the bird singing and everything. So I'm gonna put 0 here, and after we can get it back, okay, when we finish the scene. All right, so we have to create an animation, okay, because this rotation is an animation. So we have to rotate this during a time, okay, during a timeline. It's like the sequence, you're doing an animation there. We determined point 0 and the other point, okay, uh, and then we tell, okay, go from here to there, all right. So the angle is going to be 92 degrees, for example, and Unreal is going to do that, those angles that are between them. So we're going to do this animation side blueprint. How can we do that? Well, we're going to add with a timeline here, okay. Let's see, like the sequence, so timeline, add timeline. I'm going to call it door open. Nice. So it's gonna it's gonna play this timeline, okay, when I activate. Okay, so let's double click on it. This is a specific knot, okay. You have some specific settings, that's why the color is different. So let's open here. We are inside the settings of the timeline. We need to add a track like it is in the sequence, okay. So I have a lot of types here. Add flow track, add vector track, So these are types of track, For example, float is decimal number variation. Vector, I have variation in the 3 axes, okay? Here you can create separated events and color that it's a configuration of color RGB. In our case, we're gonna choose this one, okay, this option. Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna put it here. So I'm gonna configure our timeline. I want this animation to last like 1 second, and I'm gonna add a key here, exactly like in the sequence. You press shift and you click on the timeline, and here you see the 0. Then I click here, and I'm gonna create another 1 second and 90 here. You see, here I can control the zooming and zoom out, all right, with the right button as well, exactly like in the navigation of Unreal. And here I have a linear curve, I have acceleration. To be more interesting, let's add a curve here. Okay, so you can select the 2 knots, the 2 pins, and click here, auto. So it creates this acceleration, deceleration. Okay, nice. So here, let's get back here, and now we can see that there's a timeline here. Oops, a pin here, angle. That is exactly our angle here, right? So when I press play, it's gonna play here this curve. It's gonna go from 0 to 1. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna take this number and I'm gonna put it in the z axis instead of typing 90. Okay, so that it's gonna be giving this knot uh, according to the curve. So I have to connect this to the z. But if I try to do it, I cannot because of the colors. Here it's a green and here it's a blue. So because here's a variable of a unique value, okay, and here there are 3 numbers, okay, vector. So I need to put just in the z, right button and press here. Okay. Now I have that variable in 3. I'm not gonna rotate in X or Y. You see? I'm gonna put it here. Okay. Only in the Z. Nice. Compile and save it. And let's play it. Nice. Let's get closer to the box. Look, when I touch it, the box, it opened. You see, it wasn't like going straight from 0 to 90, you know? So uh, I can change, for example, if I think it's too fast, I can change it. Look, the curve, it's different now. And I can change it here to 2. Okay? Okay, yeah, nice. Now, yeah, it has opened. For now, don't worry about the opening angle, but it has opened, okay? Like this, and it doesn't close anymore. Even if I move away, but it's not like that. I want this when I get through this. I want this to close the door to close. Okay, so now you have to tell Ryu to close the door when I move away. Okay, all right, let's do it. I'm gonna save it here. Nice. All right. Now um, we have to say that when the character moves away, uh, it has to close, okay? Or when the character goes through the box, after it has to close the door, okay? So in our box, there is an event that is the end overlap, okay? Um, nice. Let's see. The same object, okay? I can cast two, okay? We're still talking about the first person character. And then I'm gonna do the opposite, okay? It was 0 from 0 to 90. Now it's gonna be 90 from 90 to 0. I can copy this, and I can do the opposite, or I can use the reverse. This thing here, okay? The play, it goes from left to the right. The reverse is gonna go from the right to the left. So it's gonna make this easier for us. All right, nice. So let's test this. Okay, I'm gonna go through this. Oh, look at this. Nice. Okay, look. All right, that's nice. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, our blueprint of door is done. Okay, nice. Let's save it. So now we have to change the material and put it in the right position. Okay, if you want this here, like we could rotate like this because of the angle. All right, because of the axis, more or less here, and then it's gonna work. Look, nice. Look at this. So yeah, but now I'm gonna show another way, a second way, because this way that we created the blueprint from the beginning, and after we added the mesh. But in our case here, we already have the mesh of the door. It is already here, the mesh, okay? And it is already with the materials. Everything is done. And most of the times, that's gonna happen. Normally, we put all the things here, like lining, the materials, and everything. And after we make the blueprint, so the door is already positioned here. So if I create this way that I already created, unless you already have uh, what you want in mind, you can put everything directly. But In this case, the mesh is already here, but it's a static mesh, normal, normal. There is no blueprint. Here the mesh is already positioned. So from the mesh that is already in the scene, we're going to convert this in blueprint. How can I do it? Well, I select the mesh and I go here in the blueprint button, convert selection to blueprint class. Okay, here I'm gonna use these harvest components, okay, because if I use this one, uh, it's gonna consider that this blueprint uh, is a relative from this static mesh, and we're not gonna be able to put the box of collision there, okay? So let's use the component there. Okay, and it creates the blueprint here, okay, and it creates here already the blueprint, all right? Uh, okay, so let's rename this PP simple door 2. Nice. There is this symbol of static mesh, but it was because it was converted, but you see here it's a blueprint class. Okay, nice. So okay, it has created. Look, so uh, it has created the blueprint, and it already put the static mesh as a component of our blueprint. So now let's do exactly what we did the other time, okay? I'm going to do it fast. All right. Um, Let me see. I'm not going to put it like depending on the order to rotate. Uh, I'm going to position this here. All right. Compile and save it. And here in event graph, I'm going to redo this. So basically I come here in box. I'm going to put the begin overlap and this one. Okay. And now I'm going to teach you a tip that is very useful on Unreal that we can copy from one blueprint to the other. So as I have everything ready, I don't need to redo. Control C and Control V. Connect this, right? The only thing that is gonna change is that I cannot have the same timeline. I mean, the timeline with the same name in different blueprints. So it has renamed this for us. All right, compiled. Look, uh, there is some error here. Look at this, and it shows us the error here. Look, it's right here. I didn't connect the object, so I do it. Let's compile this again. Yeah, I just solved this, but here there is this error here. Uh, because here we have another name. The variable door doesn't exist this here, so I'm gonna compile this with this name. Nice. Uh, okay, it's green, so everything's fine. Okay, so let's play it. Okay, before that, we have to rotate the door. Okay, I'm gonna leave it closed. All right, and I'm gonna press play. Nice. Oh, that's great. Nice, nice. So that's it, guys. Uh, what else we can change here? I'm gonna teach you another tip. Um, because we know how to create the blueprint from the scratch, adding the static mesh, or using static mesh from the scene to convert to blueprint. Both ways work. Okay. Well, if the mesh is in the scene, positioned and configured, uh, you can convert directly. If it's not, it's better to do it here. It's create the blueprint, and after I put in the scene. All right, I'm gonna delete this because I don't need this anymore. I'm gonna save it, and I'm gonna show you a different technique to make this blueprint. It is very interesting. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to change it here. Okay, nice. So let's suppose I created this blueprint. It is created with a name. I rename it this, and let's suppose I want this blueprint to be a library blueprint so that I can migrate to other projects and it's not going to be exclusive for the scene. And I want, for example, to create a blueprint that I can add here, make a configuration, and it's going to work, okay? Without needing to open the blueprint. So I want to make the configuration that I want and save it. Okay, uh, we can, instead of working the timeline by typing the value here from 0 to 90, I'm gonna do a way that I have a variable that controls this angle. Okay, the timeline is the same. This variable that is gonna change. Okay, um, so how can I do it? Well, instead of using the value of 90, I'm gonna use the value of 1, right? So 2 seconds, it's gonna vary from 0 to 1. I'm gonna explain this. Okay, so here I have the value from 0 to 1. If I press play in the scene, it's gonna rotate 1 degree, right? Um, but I want this to rotate 90 degrees or 80 or 70 or 50 or 120. It depends on the door. So uh, through a variable, I want to change without having to get inside the timeline every time. So let's do it. I'm going to create a variable. All right, this variable has to be, uh, first I'm going to give a name here, open angle. All right. And we had put here the track, uh, the float. All right, the float. So this parameter here is of the type float. So our variable has to be the type float. You see all the types of categories of variable, you know, we have a lot of them. In our case, it's float. And float, that's gonna make a variation, like a decimal variation. You know, it can be like 0, 1, 2, 3, decimal numbers. Let's compile. And then I have my variable here, and it's gonna open the default value. I'm gonna put 90 here, so my variable has an angle of 90. All right, here uh, this angle is varying from 0 to 1. I'm gonna multiply for this variable here. So I take this value 0 for 1 and I multiply for this variable here, because when it's 0 it's gonna be 0 times 90, and that's gonna be 0. And when it's 1, 90 times 1, it's gonna be 90. Okay, uh, all right. So if I change here the variable to 70, when I multiply here, it's gonna be the same thing. I don't have to change my timeline. Okay, let's put 70. I'm gonna take this variable, I'm gonna get this variable, and I'm gonna multiply. How can I multiply? Well, I type this multiply, right? So it's taking this value and it's gonna multiply to this one. All right, the result is gonna be here, right? If I want to invert this, I can do it. It's gonna take this value and this value, and it's gonna go there. Okay, let's test. All right, look, it has opened 70 degrees. If I type here, if I change this variable to 40, compile, and let's see, it opens only 40 degrees. All right, nice. So the timeline, I don't have to open the timeline every time. So I just have to change this variable here. But another interesting tip by using this system is that I can do this changing without opening the blueprint. So I'm gonna leave this variable value here visible in my editor. When I select this blueprint, it's gonna open here. Okay, it's gonna appear here. For example, I can go here, click here, and it opens the eye, so it's visible. Okay, compile and save. Let's see. Um, let's see. I can close it here. For example, I can put this blueprint in my scene, and I can control the opening angle here. 80, for example. Let's see. Right? I can control without needing to open the blueprint. Let's suppose you're adjusting this opening. All right, you're gonna do this. So here it's way easier. You just type this here, okay? And look at this. It opens just a little. Nice, right? I'm gonna leave here 85, and then it's gonna open 85 and close it. Perfect. So that's it, guys. In this class we learned our first blueprint, okay, opening the doors. And here we learned two ways: creating a blueprint from scratch from the beginning, and taking a sorry and taking static mesh of the scene and converting into blueprint. Okay, we learned how to do it here as well. Some concepts interesting, like box collision, overlap, first person. uh, so Concept of timeline, variables, multiply, and this rotation here, and this interesting feature to make that visible. Okay, nice, guys. So I'm gonna finish this class, and I'm gonna leave an exercise for you to do this blueprint for this door here for the office. Okay, there is a door here, and there's another one here of the bedroom. Okay, it also opens like this. Okay, but I'm gonna leave for you guys to train that. All right, then you can do it of like both ways. Okay, by converting and also from the zero. Okay, so if you have some doubt, just leave a comment on the video below that we can help you. Okay, so that's it, guys. See you.